Hey there, Grade 9 learners, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what I like to call the ultimate literary detective masterclass. Seriously, if you've ever been reading a book and felt like the author was hiding secret messages in the story, well, you are absolutely right. They totally do. Today, we're going to unlock literature's best-kept secrets together, and I promise you, this is going to completely transform the way you read and understand stories. So, here's a question for you. Is literature really just for entertainment? Think about that for a second. It's a question we hear a lot when we study English. Sure, a great story is super fun, but I'm going to challenge that idea right now. Literature is actually a powerful decoder ring for human behavior and society. It doesn't just pass the time. It teaches us profoundly valuable lessons about life, about people, and about how the world really works. Okay, let's look at this absolutely beautiful analogy. Literature is basically like a mirror and a window. As a mirror, it literally reflects our own lives back to us. When characters face challenges that are similar to ours, we see parts of ourselves staring right back from the page. But as a window, well, it allows us to look outward into the lives of other people. It helps us understand and respect the cultures, traditions, and emotions of folks that we might never personally meet or experience in our own day-to-day lives. Here is our roadmap for today's lesson. We'll cover 1. Literature, mirrors and windows. 2. Maxims, short practical wisdom. 3. Universal truths, shared human experiences. 4. Facts, opinion, or truth. 5. Philosophies, guiding life principles. And finally, 6. Becoming a literary detective. All right, let's jump into section 1, literature, mirrors and windows, and decoding the author's intent. You know, what's really fascinating about decoding intent is how authors actually do their jobs. Authors rarely just point a finger and lecture you. Let's face it, nobody likes a boring lecture. Instead, they're sneaky. They embed special, hidden literary elements directly into their characters' conflicts. They cleverly make you experience those lessons right alongside the characters. They do this to teach important life lessons, reveal what a character truly believes deep down, emphasize the story's central themes, and ultimately, encourage you to deeply reflect on your own personal experiences. We're meant to learn through observation and empathy, basically watching the consequences of a character's choices unfold before our eyes. Moving right along to section 2, Maxims, short practical wisdom. All right, let's pull out the very first tool in our literary detective kit, Maxims. The crucial point here is understanding exactly what this is. A maxim is a short, memorable statement that expresses practical wisdom or advice based on real human experience. But it's not just some catchy phrase. A true maxim teaches positive values, things like honesty, patience, or responsibility. And because they are so bite-sized and profound, they get passed down safely from generation to generation. I guarantee you already know a few of these. Listen to these. Practice makes perfect. Honesty is the best policy. Look before you leap. Actions speak louder than words. And where there is a will, there is a way. Your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, they probably use these constantly, right? They are tiny little guides for our everyday behavior and decisions. Let's actually see this in action with a story from our source material about a student named Leo. So Leo is a struggling speaker, absolutely terrified of messing up and feeling super discouraged. But he clung to one specific maxim: practice makes perfect. Whenever he wanted to throw in the towel and give up, he repeated this to himself. For Leo, it wasn't just a phrase, it was practical advice that directly influenced his actions. It pushed him to practice consistently until he built his confidence up, and guess what? He actually won his speaking competition. Now on to section 3, Universal Truths, Shared Human Experiences. Okay, let's open up that detective kit again and pull out tool number 2, Universal Truths. We're stepping away from those short pieces of advice and looking at much broader realities that connect all of humanity. A universal truth is an idea about life that most people accept because it reflects common human experiences, completely regardless of age, culture, or nationality. These aren't about changing trends or whatever's going viral on social media today. They are timeless human conditions. Things like facing challenges, making mistakes, and growing from them. Almost everyone on Earth knows exactly what it feels like to fail. And that shared reality, that's a universal truth. Let's look at a quick case study to see how an author might use this. We'll call this Liza's truth. Liza was a new student. She was extremely nervous and feeling totally isolated. We've all been there, right? But instead of hiding, she chose to be kind and approachable to her classmates. By doing so, she proved a universal truth. Kindness and openness help build meaningful friendships. Almost everyone can relate to that terrifying experience of being in a completely new environment, and Liza's story shows us a shared reality of how reaching out really helps overcome isolation.
Which brings us to Section 4, Fact, Opinion, or Truth.
Now, I want us to avoid a really common trap here. It's so easy to confuse a shared human experience with cold, hard science, or just personal taste. So let's pace ourselves and contrast these three concepts. First up, we have a fact. This is verifiable through evidence or science, like Mount Apo is the highest mountain in the Philippines, or water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Next, we have opinion. This is purely based on personal taste or preference, like saying chocolate cake is the absolute most delicious dessert. But finally, our universal truth. It's based on common shared human experience. It can't necessarily be proven in a chemistry lab, but everyone accepts it because we all live it. Everyone experiences failure. Trust is important in friendship. As you can see, a universal truth sits perfectly right between a provable fact and a personal opinion. All right, Section 5, Philosophies, Guiding Life Principles. Okay, it's time to step up to the final and probably the most complex tool in our literary detective kit. We are shifting from those broad shared truths to deeply personal driving forces. A philosophy is a person's beliefs, values, or guiding principles about life that deeply influence how they think, how they make decisions, and how they solve problems. Think of it this way. While a maxim is just a short piece of advice, a philosophy is the whole engine driving a character's entire way of living and interacting with others. So how exactly does this engine get built? Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. First, it's influenced by family, culture, and education. Second, it gets shaped further by real-life experiences and challenges you face. And third, it is revealed outwardly through daily actions and major life decisions. The absolutely crucial thing to remember as a learner is that authors rarely just spell out a philosophy for you on the page. You're not going to see a neon sign. We have to look really closely at what the character actually does. Let's look at Carlos. He's the perfect illustration of this. Carlos grew up facing severe poverty, but his philosophy was that education can change a person's future and is a powerful tool to serve others. Now, he didn't just walk around saying this, he lived it. He worked part-time through all his financial struggles just to become a doctor, and then he returned to his hometown to provide free medical care. He proved his philosophy through lifelong, major decisions and actions, not just empty words. And finally, Section 6, Becoming a Literary Detective. Okay, detectives, we've gathered all our clues, and now it's time to bring these three major concepts together to make sure we've got total clarity. Side by side, we can clearly see the differences. A maxim is short, practical advice, like reminding yourself to look before you leap. A universal truth is a broad, shared reality, like knowing everyone learns from mistakes. And a philosophy is a deeply held guiding belief, like dedicating your entire life to helping others. Keeping these three distinct in your mind will absolutely make you a master at reading between the lines. To make this incredibly practical for you, here is your final actionable checklist for reading literature actively. The next time you read a story, I want you to follow these exact steps. First, identify the character's core conflict. Second, spot any guiding maxim they might use. Third, uncover the universal truth that the situation reflects. Fourth, map out the character's driving philosophy. And finally, always find textual evidence to support your findings. This is exactly how you crack the code and uncover an author's hidden messages. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Literature is a mirror, and when you analyze characters, you are ultimately analyzing human nature itself. So I challenge you to look into that mirror right now and decide what philosophy is going to guide your own real-life narrative. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep reading with both your mind and your heart.